Welcome to Peace in the Valley, where adventure starts at home.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Grandma. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
We're here today at the at Grandpa Steiner's 100th birthday. And we're still setting up right here. It's going well.
Why don't we get a hotel?
Hi, Bryce.
Hey, Grandfather, how are you?
Okay.
Happy 100th birthday.
Yes. I think in my time.
And you got your driver's license. Your driver's license?
Yeah, I got my license.
Yep.
I
Yep.
got the real ones now.
You still got, the real one.
I got
So you still have your freedom.
yeah, for 2 years.
2 years.
Pain.
We have Aunt Kathy and Aunt Sybil here working very hard. The cameras are all set up. The camera is and lights are all set up. We're ready to go.
Okay.
So at 12:15, they better be here.
Yeah.
If not, yep.
They're not in the, they're not in the picture.
Hey, I meant what I said last night
What'd you say?
about Matt. Matt was always the
Well,
The
the funny
favorite.
thing was that when you said that, is Becky and I were in the other room with the name tags right before then, and Becky kept saying, "Put on there that Matt's the favorite. Put on there that Matt's the favorite on the name tag."
say Matt and Julia.
Oh, Julia. Oh, yes. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you, Bryce?
I'm well, thank you. Yeah.
The noon funders for farmers too.
Right. So the Steiners, they didn't have the land that the new ones wandered here.
Well, they farmed. For Grandpa Steiner, he had about 80 acres. Yeah, we took you
I
there.
know where your farm was at, right?
Yeah.
And that was Grandpa, your grandpa's
Yeah,
Steiner's
my
farm.
grandpa, they were the church. And then my folks farmed out like my address is Mount Corey. But,
I
it
thought
was
you
in Hancock County.
I thought you farmed over in Putnam County. Your dad,
No, Hancock County.
Hancock,
Yeah,
in Ohio.
yeah.
Okay.
And Finley was the county seat. So.
Oh. So, well, where were you born?
There,
You were born in Hancock County?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all of us.
Well, where's
We were
Pandora?
all born at that house.
Is Pandora?
Well, Pandora was in Putnam County,
Yeah.
but they moved to Pandora then later on.
Oh, I
When
always.
they sold the farm, my dad wouldn't go in debt to buy the farm. And so he sold everything and then moved to
To Pandora.
Pandora.
Okay.
And,
I didn't realize you were born in Hancock County.
Yeah. So all my brothers and sisters were born in that old farmhouse.
Yeah. What was your first car?
Mine?
Yeah. What was your first car?
It was a
His
Chevy.
name was Old Betsy.
A Chevy coupe.
A Chevy Coupe?
Yeah.
What year?
Oh, I don't know. Because I bought a car before I went to service. Paid $100 for it.
How old were you when you went to the service?
I was 20.
20 in 42?
Yeah.
And you had a Chevy Coupe.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't have a heater in it. Didn't have air conditioning.
Did it have a radio?
No.
Did it have a seat belt?
No, I
No
know.
seatbelts back then.
Did it have a seat?
It had a seat.
Well, I guess the question would be, what did it come with?
Did it still have the crank?
No, it had self-starter.
It had an electric start?
Yeah.
What was it, a 6-volt battery?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where did you meet Lois?
Oh. Well, the first time I met her, I was with a friend of mine, We went to college together, or went to high school together. We're in the same grade, and his girlfriend was Lois, and I had another girlfriend, Gladys.
Gladys.
Yeah, and then Don, well, his name was Don, and Don wanted to talk to Lois, and went at Aunt Lydia's restaurant. So, well, hello there. How's my sniffles, huh? So I met her the first time there,
Okay.
and then.
So then you decided to trade up to the new model.
Well, and then we broke
All right,
up.
listen up.
Gladys and I broke up. And I went later on. I went to work at the Steiners brothers in Lima, and I had a room, and I saw Lois pushing two babies in a buggy. Because I think I know that girl. So we talked. I don't know her.
Was she babysitting?
Well, she was with her sister Maxine.
Okay, and that was Maxine's kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laura and okay was one of them, and her sister Arlene.
Immortalized.
Did Uncle Mo is your oldest, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he's actually standing right over there in the brown suit, right behind you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my dad, Sam,
Yeah.
Aunt Kathy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Aunt Sybil. Okay. So, who was your favorite?
Of what?
Or kids?
I don't have favorites.
Oh, okay.
I don't play favorites.
They're all your favorites. Whichever one's in front of them is his favorite. That's how I do it.
Now, you're missing a couple of fingers on your right hand. What happened?
The dumbest trick I ever pulled.
The dumbest
I-
trick you ever pulled.
The day Kennedy was buried, I worked at the post office. We had the day off. I had a field of corn that I need to pick. So I thought, well, I'll go pick corn. And my picker had the elevator on it, and I had to stop at each end to let the elevator clean out
Yeah.
before I make the turn. Other than that, you'd put the corn on the ground.
Okay.
So I stopped, and for some reason or another, I walked back to the picker, and I got probably maybe some corn went on the ground before I made the turn or something. And the near corn between two chains,
Yeah.
and like a bicycle chain. And I reached between the two, and that was what happened.
And that was it.
That was it.
You never saw him again. Well, did they try to attach the fingers back on?
No, they're too mangled.
Too mangled. Were they able to find them?
They were in a glove.
They were still in the glove.
Yeah.
So it took the glove off too.
Sam took they took the glove and threw it in the spot.
So what year? What you say that was the day of Kennedy's funeral?
Yeah.
So what was that? 1962? 63?
Somewhere in there.
There's something in there somewhere.
Okay.
Way before we were around.
Yeah, way before us. What drew you up to the Angola area from Pandora?
Well, when I got out of the service, the Lois's dad says, I'll rent you 10 cows. Start up farming. Okay, you pay me a calf for $100. So I took up on it, and he loaned me 10 cows, and I bought this farm. I went, it was It's 80 acres. And it cost $9,000. So I didn't have any money for down payment. So I went to Aunt Lydia, Lois and I did,
Yeah.
and I asked her if she'd loan us $3,000. Yeah, I got that much in my checking account. Aunt Lydia had a restaurant in Bluffton. So she loaned us $3,000. We bought this farm. It's on 200.
Uh-huh.
You probably know where it's at. But there was a big silo there and a big bank barn. It was fun.
Now, is that where we're talking about? Right there at Metz?
No.
No, where was
It's
this at?
on 200. Well, you know where Uncle Don lived. You know where their farm was.
Is it, what county are we talking about?
Steuben County.
Steuben County, up here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
200.
Okay.
Okay.
200 east.
I was on that. Right now, there's just a house and an old tree.
Okay.
They took down.
How far is that from the State Line Farm?
Oh, that was 16 miles.
Okay.
10 miles.
I didn't
So
realize
is
that.
is that the house then that they came to when they were going to school and get on the bus?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's up closer to town.
Okay.
It didn't have a bathroom in it. No bathroom. But it had a pump, a hand pump. So I put a pressure pump in it. And then just a short time later, I put a bathroom down the basement. I had someone come dig me a trench and then put the septic system down the bottom of the hill.
That's a good place for it.
Yeah. So I put, and I'm already got it in, and someone put a roll of cardboard paper down the stool, plugged it up. I said, all right, I got our kids all together. I said, who done it? Nobody done it.
Nobody did it.
Nobody did it. I said, well, okay. I said, the next time that's plugged up, you're going to clean it out. I didn't have any trouble.
No more trouble after that.
No, they knew that they wouldn't put that cardboard down that stool. Well, they didn't know anything.
They didn't know what a flushing toilet was.
Well, did you have electricity then?
Oh, yeah, we had electricity. And,
But you didn't have electricity growing up, though, did you?
no, my parents never had electricity.
You didn't have electricity until you got your own place after the Army, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what after the rural co-ops went through.
Well, the REMC
REMC.
went through, but my dad wouldn't hook up to it because it cost him. Well, my dad rented the farm.
Oh, okay.
He didn't own it. He rented it 50-50.
Gotcha. Hey, I'm going to continue this. I'm going to...
Hello. Everybody enjoying the day?
Of course.
Good.
Hi. You remember me? Oh, yeah. Yep.
Hello, camera.
Say hello.
Talk to Mr. Mike on that camera.
Hello.
Can you hear Gabriella?
Hello.
It would look like a flaming torch.
Yeah, it would.
You think that looks... Does that look like 100?
Of course.
Walking around with a chicken on her head.
Like a real life
So I took a picture. Boy, just about that quick, she held out a can. I walked up.
They beg all the time in those countries. That's,
Oh, yeah.
And they know they
do
can get
all
off
the dance.
Yeah.
There was one place the kids would do the dance,
And then they-
donations.
Yep. When we were in Mexico at Chichen Itza, they had kids all over those monuments, and the kids would come up to us, having these little napkin things, these handkerchiefs, and how do you tell them no?
I know.
And it's their parents that are sending them to do all that, and it's not. I don't even know if they're handmade there. They can just, but they're all over. It's the same stuff everywhere.
Right.
They are.
That makes me sad.
Anything to get them.
Not many words of wisdom in there. What's interesting about
Why'd you say?
well, that's exactly the point, because I don't generate that. It's kind of like they'll say, okay, we need to send this out for contact numbers. We'll put a photograph or something in there. What do you think? And I said, works for me.
Grandpa, they're honoring you for paying the longest amount of taxes. The most amount of contributions.
This is my Uncle Mo, my grandpa's old. There's some resemblance there.
Brothers, huh?
Right.
So, what year were you born?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. 40. I thought he said your brother.
He did. Did I say brothers? No, sorry.
If anybody would like to say something, maybe some memories that you would have of your loved one, Maurice, you're welcome to come up and talk a little bit and share if you'd like to. I'll share a story to get started. So, as most of you know, I don't have a lot of very good memories of when I was little. But when I was older, and it was the day that President Kennedy was buried, Dad was out of work.
I have a different perspective of my dad than most of you have, because to me he was Dad. One thing I remember was I was in the 3rd grade in school, and the 3rd grade teacher at that time just happened to be our next door neighbor. They owned the farm right next to us, and her name was Carol Kaufman. Now I know maybe there's some of you who knew Carol Kaufman. Well, one girl in my class told on me for chewing gum. But it was the second time the teacher told me to spit it out. Now where I got the gum was my grandpa, Steiner, every time we went there, gave us chiclets. And I put some of that in my mouth, and I know some of my cousins might remember the same thing. And I put another piece in my mouth, and the teacher says, Mrs. Kaufman says, I thought I told you to spit it out. She said, you did? Well, she gave me a whipping. They wouldn't do that in school today. We got home, and Kathy was in the 1st grade. I was in the 3rd grade. Kathy, we were eating supper. We called night supper then. Anyway, Kathy says, I heard Sam got a whipping at school today. Now, you know what kind of school we went to. And my dad says, is that right? I said, yeah. He says, well, we'll have a meeting in the basement afterwards. Now, I don't know if your dad was like my dad, but when you had a meeting in the basement, it wasn't a meeting on your terms. It was a meeting on his terms. Now, what took place afterwards was, well, you know. And you know, I never forgot it. But did it hurt me? No. But he would have the nerve to say, this is going to hurt me worse than it does you. I know he lied to me. But that's the way I grew up. And I don't think it hurt anybody to be brought up on those terms. I think we need a little more of it today. Thank you.
In the early years, we didn't have a truck. And there was many times that I would go to the post office and borrow Dad Steiner's truck to do things. And if he only knew where that truck went and what it hauled And there was one time we got government commodities and I had to go, I think, to South Bend. And I said, I'm going to need the sides on the truck because it's a pretty big load. That truck set sideways, the back end of it, all the way from South Bend home. And all I could do was pray that we didn't break the springs and the suspension under the thing so I could get that truck back to Dad so he could go home that evening. But there were many, many times he would always say, the truck's available, come get it. And he has helped this camp like you would not believe. He was always there. And I appreciate Dad, what you do. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. Maurice and I had a conversation earlier. I'm your local state representative, and he's already talked to me about spending money uselessly. So we're going to try and tighten up the budget because as the comment was made, there's a pretty good chance he's paid more taxes than anybody else around here. Hopefully, we're trying to lower the taxes, and I understand that, Maurice. Some of the stories kind of hit home, especially the one about certain you, because I had those visits too. And when I was in school, if you got in trouble in school, you didn't dare come home and tell your parents that you got in trouble in school because the repercussions at home were far more severe than they were in school. So you must have all learned from the same people. So I appreciate everything that you've accomplished. We discussed earlier, you were in the Army Air Corps. I had time in the Army back in the Vietnam era, and then I followed up with some Air Force time, so got a little time there. Any veterans in the room? Let's find out who we have. No, Bob is. Any other veterans? Hey, there you go. Yeah, you need to raise your hand too for this. But it does, your heart good to realize that people that have lived in a life to be an example for others, that the others show up and to congratulate you for what you've done and how well you've done it. And that being said, this didn't go unnoticed at the state level either. So the governor was a Navy guy. You know how Navy guys are. Anyways, they're usually not as quick on the uptake as those Army guys were. That's because I was in the Army, folks. I can say that. He got wind of this, and there's something I'd like to present you. So if Naval Captain 06, Bob Mayer, can bring this over. Notice I didn't give you the microphone. Okay. This says from the state of Indiana. It says, Office of the Governor, Eric J. Holcomb. To all whom these presents may come. This is Old English, so it might not make sense to everybody, but it's got purpose. Greetings. Whereas some individuals distinguish themselves through significant contributions to their communities. Whereas the qualities and characteristics of such individuals reflect the best of the state of Indiana, even though you got some Ohio roots too, right? It's okay. Whereas the actions of these individuals endear them in the hearts and minds of all Hoosiers, whereas the individual named below is such a person who has earned the respect and admiration of Hoosiers across the state and is worthy to join the ranks of those so honored. Now therefore I, Eric J. Holcomb, Governor of the State of Indiana, do hereby declare and appoint Maurice J. Steiner as a distinguished Hoosier. In testimony thereof, I have signed this and fixed the the seal of the State of Indiana, first day of January 2020, signed Eric J. Holcomb.
Oh, thank you.
And I suppose the best thing to do now is to give the microphone to the guest of honor. No? Obviously, not a lot of potential there for being an elected official of any kind, but that you probably...
If you like this family history video, be sure to subscribe. We previously ran one in the summertime with Grandpa and his sisters. If you'd like to see that one, that's a great video too.
Anybody that's thinking about probably one more term, and I'm going to try to retire myself. So that being said, thank you for the invitation. If you don't mind, I'll stay just a little bit longer and talk with some of the folks. And I don't know who I pass this off to. Thank you.
I remember when I was like 7, and we used to always come to camp and visit Uncle Matt, and we'd always stop by Grandpa Gray's house, and he'd have this cupboard on the side by the front door that had a bunch of toys in it that we always used to play with, and then he'd always sit us on his lap, and then we'd have a conversation. Sometimes we'd stay for lunch.
And Joanne and Frankie are here. So thank you so much.
Eileen and Joanne right
Don't wait. We have a good life. I'm not real sure what this is all coming about.
But
the one story that I thought was interesting was how we all sat around the table. You know, we all had our places around the table every dinner. You know, we did. They did as well. And Aunt Eileen sat beside Mom.
I don't know why I got stuck with her, but I did.
I was the baby. Yeah. And
Your
what
great-grandpa's sister. I said to you, like, you look like in your 50s.
So what I learned though
like in your late 50s.
was that Aunt Eileen would have to feed Mom because, you know, there's 5 years difference. So
Yeah.
Mom was little and needed some help getting fed, and Aunt Eileen was in charge. But Mom's plate was one of those metal plates that has the alphabet on it. And to amuse herself,
I learned to say the alphabet backwards, and I can still do it today. I don't know.
Very good. Very good.
I'm going to visit the doctor tomorrow to see if I can.
I just say that if you do that in front of the doctor, they may be questioning some things.
I thought that was a fun story.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, you guys should go sit beside Grandpa. I mean, oh, there's Kara sitting beside Grandpa.
Yeah, that's a nice chair.
It's better.
What's your plan for the next 100 years?
Steiner to celebrate 100 years. It was first published in the Herald-Republican by Matt Love. Mom dropped me off at the post office on East Maumee Street in Angola. I peered through the service counter window. All was a bustle in the back as it was Friday afternoon and nearly closing time. Grandpa Maurice Steiner was at his desk diligently finishing some assistant postmaster paperwork. The clerk had anticipated my arrival and motioned me to the side entrance to the offices. I headed straight back for Grandpa's desk as he said, "There's my big helper." I wasn't sure how much help 10-year-old, who didn't know much about farming, was going to be. "You can sit at my desk here while I wrap up a few things and then we'll head out," explained Grandpa. As Grandpa closed things up, I tinkered with a few trinkets on the old desk and curiously opened the top desk drawer to discover forgotten treasures. At quick pace, we left the office, Grandpa turning off the lights and locking the door behind us. We loaded up in the old powder blue 1976 Dodge 100 and headed east on 20. Then a slight right onto Metz Road. It was late October and all the corn and beans still left in the fields were magnificent golden. Grandpa didn't waste any time getting to the farm. In fact, as we bounced along those back roads, he shifted through the 3 on the tree. I'm sure the speed limit was a little concern. We had a mission. It was harvest season and time to get the crops out. We changed quickly into our grubbies, as Grandma called our work clothes. Then she handed us a sandwich and a few molasses cookies from the cookie jar sitting on the dry sink, and the 3 of us were out the door. Grandpa and I climbed into the combine with Grandma right behind us on our John Deere 3020, with 2 gravity wagons in tow. I loved riding in that old combine. There was something satisfying about the whir of the motor and the stalks of the corn being transformed into piles of grain. I chuckled as I recalled Grandpa earlier in the year working on the combine head in the barnyard. Old Gobbledygook, Grandma's ornery turkey, wouldn't quit pestering him and started to peck his bald head. With a wrench in hand, Grandpa gave that foul beast a few love taps, sending feathers flying while he mumbled something about that dumb bird. The old turkey didn't make it through the winter. Mom and I came to check on him while Grandpa and Grandma were on one of their adventures to Florida. There were feathers scattered clear across the barnyard and under the fence. No one was really sad except maybe Grandma. My memories are as fond as I recall these late nights and early mornings during harvest. I can still see Grandpa's old bomber hat covering his bald head, ear flaps dancing in the wind as we drove down the dirt road back to the farm late at night, singing the old hymn, Bringing in the Sheaves. My grandparents not only worked hard, they played hard. They traveled to all 50 states, including driving to Alaska twice. Many of those adventures, including several grandkids tagging along in their RV. My cousins and I could write a book about experiences we had with my grandparents and the mischief that ensued. Seeing Grandpa and Grandma set up the RV at campsite was always entertaining as they bantered back and forth. I recalled one trip where Grandpa and I got pulled over for speeding. At 100, he's still up for the adventure of a good road trip. Grandpa is one of the most hardworking, principled, and loving people I've ever known. These days, if you were to drive by his cottage early on a dark morning, his light would be on and you would find him sitting at the table drinking his black coffee and reading his well-worn Bible. Later in the morning, he reads the scandal sheet, as he calls it, that is, the Herald-Republican. I remember him most there at the table, even at the farmhouse after dinner, paying bills, balancing the checkbook, and these days, signing and addressing cards to his 4 children and 15 grandchildren, 42 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. We can always count on Grandpa's cards being one of the first to arrive. I see him with pen in his right hand. It's held a bit funny. His index and middle finger on that hand are missing from a battle with the corn picker which happened on Monday, November 25th, 1963. It was the same day that JFK was buried. Being a federal employee, Grandpa had the day off, and right at the end of harvest season, it was a blessing. My Aunt Kathy and Mom were in the field that day as they picked up fallen ears for 25 cents a 5-gallon bucket, and another farming mishap took place when he fell off the roof of the 30-foot corn crib. Perhaps his most near-death experience happened while my oldest son and I were coming home with him after an Angola football game. We were approaching the stoplight at Cameron Hospital when his heart stopped. He was driving. We rear-ended that car that was stopped at the light. A sheriff deputy who just pulled into the hospital heard the crash and was there to respond. After a couple of jolts from the defibrillator, Grandpa came to, and by that time he was in the hospital. I heard him telling the EMT his name, Maurice Steiner, and that he was born January 2nd, 1922. By the time he recovered a couple weeks later, he had bought another car and was back living on his own. I guess God had more he needed Grandpa to do and be. After that accident, he stopped driving the pontoon for Lake James Christian Camp. However, many campers and staffers still affectionately call him Commodore. Over the years, he took thousands of campers around Lake James on boat rides. Grandpa's flat feet kept him from going overseas during World War II, but that didn't keep him from serving his country as sergeant in the Army Air Force, preparing airplanes to go overseas. There is something about Grandpa and his generation. Maybe that's why they called them the Builders and the Greatest Generation. He was out the other day on a ladder, making repairs on his garage. I didn't stop him. Just smiled in amazement, and the thought came to my mind that if I live to be 100, I hope to be able to still climb a ladder and make a repair. There is much I have learned from my grandpa, and much more we need to learn from this generation who valued a hard day's labor. They loved their families and stayed faithful even during the difficult times. A generation who feared God and loved their fellow man, even when they disagreed, and heroically served their country. Before we went to Grandpa's birthday celebration, Kent and Rachel's children performed a play that they did at church.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. and all went to be taxed, every man into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, until the city of David, which is Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. Okay, a little bit.
How still we see thee lie above thy deep and dreamless sleep. The starless stars go by, yet in thy dark street shine the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to men on earth. O holy child of Bethlehem, descend to us, we pray. Cast down our sin and enter in, be born in us today. We hear the Christmas angels, the great glad tidings tell. Oh, come to us, abide with us, our Lord Emmanuel.
And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished, and that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn.
Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. The cattle are lowing, the baby awaits. The little Lord Jesus no crying he makes. I love thee, Lord Jesus, look down from the sky, and stay by thy cradle till morning is nigh. Be near me, Lord Jesus, I ask thee to stay. Close by me forever, and of me I pray. Bless all the dear children in thy tender care, and fit us for heaven to live with thee there.
Get your staffs. Pretend, okay? And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flocks by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them,
Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be unto all the people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger.
And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying,
Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Angels we
have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, virgins by your heavenly songs. Glory in excelsis Deo. Glory in excelsis Deo. Seated in a manger lay, whom the choirs of angels praise. Mary, Joseph, led your aid, when our hearts in love we raise. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
And they came with hate. Oh, wait. It came into pass as the angels were gone away from them into heaven. The angels said to the shepherds said to one another,
Let us now go even unto Bethlehem and see the thing which is come to pass, which the Lord hath made known unto us.
And they came with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger. And when they had seen it, they made known abroad the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all that heard it wondered at those things which were told them by the shepherds. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. And the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had heard and seen, as it was told unto them.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. No more sin and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love.
All right, that's it.
All right.